Hi, this video is based on Microsoft Power Platform Community Forum thread. So here what we are looking is how to re-trigger a flow after a MS form has been edited. So generally if you want to re-trigger a flow, one option is you need to go to the flow, find your run history, click the relevant history, then click on the resubmit. That's where you do it. But what happens if I want to rerun all these run histories? So maybe the scenario is you cleared all your database, you modified something, and then you want to rerun all the runs whichever the user has updated earlier. So suppose this is my MS form flow and I can see all my run histories, and say for example if I got around 500 or 600 run histories here for the last 28 days, then how we can rerun this? So you can do by manually, but it's going to take lots of time. So what I'm going to demonstrate in this video is how to do this automatically using the Flow API. Okay, for this, the first thing is we need to log on to the portal.azure.com. So the first step is we need to register our app registrations. So you can see I logged on here, portal.azure.com website, then click on the app registrations. If you can't find the icon here, always you can search here, app registrations, you can see here, see that? Okay. Once it's done, then you click on the new, then call a name here. So I'm going to call here demo flow API. Okay. The next thing I need to do here is I need to set what supported account type is. Okay, so I'm setting here as accounts in this organizational directory in a single tenant. So if you are on multi-tenant, you need to use the other one. Okay, and click register. I'll come back to the redirect URI later. Yeah, this one I'll come back in a minute. So register. So that's the first thing we did. Then the next step is, we can see here we got client ID, then there is a tenant ID, and there's a redirect URI, couple of things here. So we need couple of things to utilize for accessing the Flow API. This is OData 2. We are using the method, the access method is called OData 2. So for that, we need the client AP, client ID, and also the client secret as well. So go to the client, go to the authentication first here. Okay, so the first thing is I need to add a platform here. See, add a platform. Click on the web, then the redirect URI. So the redirect URI which I need to configure here is global.consent.azure-apim.net/redirect. Okay, and configure that. Click on configure, and also we need to set access token used for implicit flows. Okay, click configure. There we go, that's done. So that's you can see here it's added under the web redirect URL and access tokens used for implicit flows. Yeah, that's number one. Then the next thing is we need to look for the certificates and a secret key. So we need to create a secret key here. So click on the new, then I'm going to use key here. You can set some recommended one here. I'm going to use 6 months and click add. Okay, as soon as I add it, I need to copy this value, which is the value here. That's the secret key value which I need. So I'm going to copy this in a notepad here. Okay, right, that's done. Then next one we need to look here is the API permissions. Okay, for that we need to add the Flow API here. Okay, so the Flow API what we are looking here is the Power Automate one we need to add here. So click on add permission. Then we need to look for the flow permissions here. We can see Power Automate. Yeah, that's one we want. Okay, so in this one here we can say request API permissions. So that's one we need. So under the Power Automate I'm going to take flows.manage.all. You can give appropriate permissions, but for this purpose I'm going to use everything here. The flow API got different capabilities. So for this demonstration purpose, I'm going to use the flow.manage.all here. Okay, you can set, if you just want to read the flows, you can use the read only one, writing plans, everything is here. Okay, and add permission. There we go. That's done. That's it. That's all we need to do now. So once this done, the next thing is we done the registration now. So we are good to go now. So this is the Azure part we done now. So that means now I can utilize the Power Automate API using the OData 2. For that, we need the client ID, then I need the secret key which I copied earlier, and things like that, and also the redirect URI, which I'll show you that, which I configured earlier. That is this global dot, this URL we need. Okay, we need to change. We'll come back to that. I'll show you the registration once it's done. We need to revisit this as well. Okay, that's done. So the next thing is we'll go back to the flow, and I'll go to the log on to the Power Automate, make.powerautomate.com, click on custom connectors, and here I'm going to create a connector. Okay, that's the first thing I need to do. Okay, the first thing is we need to click on the new custom connector, create from blank. Okay, now we need to give a name here, so I'm going to call here flow API. Yeah, just call flow API, that's fine. Okay, and click continue. Right, then what we need here is we need to look for, you need to give a name here. So the description here for that, so description is this is for Power Automate API. The plan is to get the flow history, then resubmit flow runs. That's what the plan is. Yeah, and it's HTTPS. Okay, that's what we want. And then the next thing is the host is apa.flow.microsoft.com/. Okay, then click next security. So the next security we need to configure. So for that, like I said, I'm going to use the OAuth 2. Okay, so this is where we already done all the configurations under the the Azure portal side. Okay, so here what we want is we want the client ID. So for the client ID, all you need is go back to your app registrations, click on that demo flow API which we did, and then find the client ID. Here we go, that's the client ID here. Copy that, that's copied. The next thing is we need to copy it here, that. Okay, then other one is the client secret. So if I go and look my client secret now, okay, see that value is it's been hidden now. So luckily I copied it in my notepad. So always copy that in a safest place so that you can copy it from there. Right, that's my secret key now. Okay, and the next thing is I need to use the authorization URL. Then there's a token URL there. There's a resource URL. All these we need to configure it. Okay, so the authorization URL is called sorry, I got a little bit lost here because I forgot to select. Once I select the OAuth 2, I need to select the Azure Active Directory. Okay, that's where our the API settings are. So now I can see the client ID and the client secret and all that. So let me copy the client secret. I copied that. Go back and find copy that client ID again. That's a client ID. So I'm going to copy that again. Here we go. That's done. So that's a client ID there. Here we go. That's there. And now the authorization URL, I need to configure it. So the authorization URL is login.microsoft.com. The resource URL also here. Okay, let me copy that. Okay, so select the Azure Active Directory. Then this is auth 2. Client ID I just copied the client secret. Now the authorization URL I need to use here is https login.microsoftonline.com. Tenant ID, you can put common here, or you can use this tenant ID here. This is the my tenant ID. I'm You can just leave it blank, or you can just use that. Yeah. I'm just going to put common there, and then you can use next one is the resource URL, that is https://service.flow.microsoft.com. Then rest of the things are default: false, scope, and redirect URL is blank. Okay, that's it. Now in this stage, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say create connector. Click on create connector. So what it should do is it will create the connector using that security details we entered. Okay, that's done. So you can see that the redirect URL that's already, system already been created. That's a redirect URL. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. So this is what we need to reconfigure here. So under the overview, you can see the redirect URIs we configured earlier. So click on that. That is under the authentication anyway. Here, go back to this and replace with this now. Okay, so we need this ID and these names here. So otherwise it won't work. So click on save. Okay, that's done. So remember, once you create the custom connector, copy the redirect URI and reconfigure it here. Okay, so that when it's authenticated, it knows about this, the redirect URIs for the destinations when you're returning the authentication response. That's what this for. Okay, so that's done. And the next thing is we need to use the definition now. So here, this is where we are going to use the finding the flow. Our plan is to find the flow, the run history, then resubmission. That's what we need to do. So for that, what I did here is I'll show you the technique what I did. We can go to flow.microsoft.com. Okay, that will take you to make.powerautomate.com. Then click on the click my flows. And then here, you can click any of your flows here, and just click this, right, and click inspect. Okay, and go to the network tab, which is one of the one here. The network is, there we go, that's a network one. Make sure this is recorded. Yeah, that is there. And then click on the resubmit, click OK that. So you can see under the network, say the resubmit has been, see the resubmit. So that API been fired behind the scene. I'm going to stop it, go all the way up, resubmit. So you can see the payload then. See that? API flow.microsoft.com. Then you can see the method which has been using the histories, submission, that. So if you copy this URL here, Yeah, just click on directly on that. So you can get this, copy this. I'm going to copy this in a notepad now. There we go. That's done. So here, see, we can see like it used which environment you are in. That's your dev or production or whatever it is. You can see that environment name is coming from here. Let me close this. See that? That's environment. Then that's your flow name. Yeah. And if I click on this, you will see at the end which history it is. So let me copy this also, and we can compare it. So you can see, see that is environment, and this is your flow. And you can see above also, that's my flow here, and then the runs, this is the run then. So basically this is the API, it's running behind the scene to rerun that. Okay, so our aim is to find the history, then configure this also under our connector. Okay, so the different techniques you can find it to get the API which it's running. There's a documentation also there. I'll put that in my video description as well. Okay, so let's go back here. You don't need to do that. I'm just showing you how we can find it behind the scene, that finding that API. Okay, now under the connector, I'm going to do the first thing is I'm going to use the definition now. So under the definition, just click on new action and just say retrieve flow runs. There we go, retrieve flow runs. That's my method, first method. And the operation also, I'm going to call the same name. And then the next thing is I need to use the request. Import from sample. It's a get operation and paste this. Okay, so basically what we are doing here is, the earlier, the one which I copied here, it's similar like that. So api.flow.microsoft.com provider, then you need to have this URL we need. I'll copy this in my video description. Then we have the parameter, like which flow environment you need. In your case, you got a different flow environment. Then you got which flow ID we are looking for, which flow we want for the runs. That's what /runs means. And click import. That's it. Then you can see here easily, you can see the flow ID and flow environment and the flow ID. It's been, as a parameter, it's been generated. We need one more query here for the API version also. I forgot that. So we need to we need a API version also as a query. Can I add that from here? I don't think so. So copy this. Then I think put the question mark at the end, I believe, with the version. I think that's the technique we need to do here. I need to look the documentation for this. Just a minute. Yeah. So at the end, what we want is put question mark API dash version is equal to 2016 11-01. I don't think it will change. I don't know. This we need that for some reason, so I've seen in the documentation it's been using that. Okay, click import. There we go. That's API version as a query. It's been passed also. Then that's good. Okay, once this done, then what we could do here is we could say update connector. Okay, so that's updating my connector now. Okay, looks like it's done. So the next thing is we can click on the test. So you can see the method retrieve flow run, see which environment you want to run that and which flow ID GUID it is. So that means when I deploy this connector to another environment, another flow GUID might be different, flow environment is different. So all I can configure it, whether it's a production or dev or whatever it is. So here, see, this is my environment now. See that? That's my environment now. Okay. I'll come back to that. Before we run this, we need to click on new connection. So that's going to go for that O authentication method. You can see here it's going OAuth2 authentication. It says who the user it is for that tenant. So I'm one of the user. This is the logged on user it is. So I'm using that. It says give me the permissions. Yes, do that. Done the job. So that means it's created successfully. The next thing is we need to give the flow environment. So I can use this one now still. So I'm going to use my dev environment. That's my flow environment. Now find the flow which I want to run. So I'm going to use this flow here. So if I go back here, this is my flow ID. See the flow ID here. There we go. That's the flow. So going back here, no, going back here, flow ID and the API version. So the API version, remember, we just used earlier that API version is 2016. Yeah, 1101. Oops, we got that someone. Now click test operation. So hopefully I should get status 200. Here we go. I got all my flow runs. Yeah. So that's success. So you can see here all my flow runs here, everything. So what I'm seeing here is this flow run. I'm seeing it, all these records, all the records, including the failed ones, it will get it. Okay. Right. So the next thing is how can we resubmit it? So remember the resubmission I found, this is the API we need to run it, so instead of make dot, sorry, this one here. No, it's this. It's supposed, yeah, it's this one. So instead of the make dot, this one, we need to use api.flow.microsoft.com. Then it's pretty much the same it is, Okay, so let's go back and add another method. So we successfully added one method there. Going back to the definition again. Then under the definition, we are going to use the next one. Okay, so click on new. Okay, then here I'm going to say resubmit a flow run. Okay, then again the same description and same operation ID I'm going to give it. Then again another import. Okay, for this one again we need to use exactly the same thing. So that means this is a post this time. Click on the post. Okay, so it's similar like that. So again you can see here some of the parameters I'm configuring it. So that's again api.microsoft.com providers. See that symbol and Microsoft.process symbol / environment / flow environment, then flow, which flow it is, and then the trigger is a manual trigger, histories, then the flow ID / resubmit. Here we go. That's what we want. So when I checked using the other one, I found out, some of the clues you'll get. It's not exactly the same one, but I haven't tried with this. It might run this also, I think. I'm not really sure, but let's just use this. This is what the documentation says. Okay, so that's there. Now what we need to do here is we need to put again that question mark API version also. We need to do it here, so let me add that at the end. Again, I'll put this link in my video description. There we go. That's there. And click import. Oh, I'm having okay, operation area spaces. That's just a warning only. That's all it is, so you can take out that something like this, resubmit _ flow run. That should disappear now. Here we go, that's gone. Okay, and see, that's all my configuration parameters now. So I need my flow run ID, because if you click on the the each run got each ID there, that's what that means. So if I click on this details here on history here, my run ID is at the end here. See, the run is that, so using that, we clicking the resubmit to run it. Remember that. Okay, so all that configuration is there. Next thing again is update connector. Okay, so that's going to create my second method. Right, that's done. So now going back to, I think this warning is again the same thing like the spaces here. So just ignore that. You can put some spaces or put underscores. Yeah. Okay, now click on test. All right. Okay, I'm going to resubmit a flow run. Okay, so for this, I need to find a flow ID and flow environment and all. So let's copy again the same thing. I'm going to copy the environment here, the same thing here, then find one of my flow. This flow, I want to rerun it. So let's go back and find the flow ID. So you can see after the flows, that's the ID I want. Here we go. That's what that is means. So I'm going to look for that. So in that community thread, it said MS form flow. So you need to find that flow ID there here actually. Yeah. Then the flow run ID. Okay. So this is a manual test. That's the reason I'm copying it. The flow, the run ID. So if I want to resubmit this, I'm going to go back to my run ID here. Here we go. Copy that. Going back to my connector here. That is that. Then 2016 1101. That's it. Then click on test operation. So remember this. Going back here, that's my last run history. This is 12 minutes ago. I submitted that and shown. We found the debug method to find the APIs, what's been happening behind the scene. So the last run is 12 minutes ago. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is from my connector, I given all the details and click test operation. There we go. I got my 202 status. So that means it is in progress. So click on refresh. Here we go. That's so using the API now I can trigger this. See, it's 7 seconds ago. It's rerun that flow then which I specified using the configuration. So what we could do now is using this. What we could do now is we'll go back to my flows. So now everything is done. I'm happy with that. Click on new. Click on the new flow and automated flow. Just skip that. The new designer is sometimes a little bit buggy, so I'm still using the old one. Okay, so here I'm going to use the manual trigger here. Okay, now this what we can do here. So if you look for my custom connector here, you can see my flow API connector here. Here it is. So you can see resubmit a flow run, retrieve my flow runs. So first I need to retrieve my flow runs. Here it is. Now the flow environment, flow ID, and the API version, we need to configure it. Okay, so for that, the first thing we need to do here is we need to go to the environment ID. So that is this. That's my Here we go. That's my environment. Okay, next is the flow, give the flow ID. So that is starting from here to here. I need to copy. Then the API version, I need to copy it. The API version is 2016-11-01. That's it. Okay, and let's call it retrieve flow history runs and resubmit. That's our plan. Yeah. Save it. Right. Okay. So that's saved. Click on test and manually and test the run now. Okay, here it is. So I got all the data I want. See that? So what I could do now is I could copy this and so here I can see the name. This is my flow run ID. So see that 08 starting with CU07. So if I go back here, the run here, you can check here. See that 08. See? So programmatically we can get that now. Then the next thing is what I could do here is, so I don't want to run all of them now at the minute. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a filter here. Filter array. And under the filter array, I need to set a few things because I just want to capture only one run and run it. If you want to rerun everything, what you could do is, you don't need to do the filter array. Okay. So for that, I need to do Okay, the body of that, but what we want is the body and the slash value also there. That's what I want. So basically what I'm looking here is I'm looking something like this here. See that body, so that's the value I want. So under the expression body get flow runs, sorry, not get flow runs, sorry, retrieve underscore flow slash runs. I don't think it's case sensitive, but I just put exactly the same name. There we go. That's done. The next thing is I need to use one of the first is the name I shown you earlier. So the technique here is I can say item question mark name. There we go. That's what I want. Name is equal to, I just want to capture and run this one. So I'm just going to copy this again, this value again here. Like I said, I don't want to rerun everything, so that's the reason I'm filtering it this. The next step is again my custom one and going to my flow API and resubmit a flow run. There we go. And then it's just some of the values we can copy it again here. The flow environment is the same, flow given is the same one I'm looking, and then the flow, the API version I'm looking is this. And then here the flow run ID. The flow run ID is different here. So the flow run ID is going to be let me go back and add a compose here because it's going to be an array actually. Yeah, so just add a compose, that will be easier. Okay, so what we want is we want this as expression body filter array. My first, it's going to be only one. We know that it's going to be one value in that array. So put question mark 0, then question mark name, so that I will get my first value. Like I said, this is optional. These two steps are optional here, then resubmitting the value, then the run ID is the one which is coming from my compose. There we go. That's all done now. So that means hopefully, let me go back this. Okay, refresh this. The last run is 5 minutes ago. So I'm going to use my my flow and I built using my custom connector and click on the test manually and going to run this now. Okay, looks like flow ran successfully. See, it found that 08. That's the run history. It's going to rerun. It's rerun the flow. So hopefully if I go back to my flow, 5 minutes ago it was. Now I refresh it. I can see a few seconds ago, that is 19 seconds ago, flow run again. So that means, if I take you back to this question here, in a situation like if you got an MS form has been submitted, you got lots of run histories, you did something behind the scene, you want to rerun the whole flow, finding all the run histories instead of double clicking it for each and every run histories. What you could do here is, you can build a custom connector, then underneath you can call the retrieve flow runs like this from the method ones when we created earlier, and then the resubmit flow. So if you want to run everything, you don't need the filter array. Use a pass JSON and then look for the conditions also, like an if condition for whether it is succeeded or not, the flow run, because some of the flow run might be failed. So I don't know, it all depends on your situation actually. Yeah, and then map the value of the flow run here. So this will be in a loop if you're running everything, because here I don't want to run everything. That's the reason for the demonstration purpose. I'm just hard coded a one of the run value there, filtering that, then passing that value here. I'm value here in the flow run ID there. So hopefully this is useful. Thank you for watching.